Hello students, I hope you are well. Today's lesson is on mental preparation. It's a really important part of sport, and I know some of you have already started doing this as part of your pre-match routine, which is great, and some of you, this is the first time you've ever heard of it. So I'm going to help you to understand over this lesson why it is so important. As always in our GCSE PE lessons, if you just want to access the lower grades, then you have to tell me what are the basic facts, explain, describe them, tell me what. That's written in red ink. If you want to access the middle grades, then you have to tell me how. That's written in blue ink. You have to apply it to sport. And if you want to access the higher grades, you have to be critically evaluative. You have to tell me why we're doing it. What are the strengths and weaknesses when you can? That's written in green. We'll go through this stage by stage. Hopefully, it's quite easy to understand. There are 4 C's along the way which are crucial for those lower grades. And then there's kind of things like the inverted U theory, which can help you to access the higher grades. Okay, so what does it mean to be mentally prepared? Well, we do incorporate it into our warm-up, into all 3 phases actually. You can start to think about what you need to do. You can start to visualize. You can start to imagine success in your phase 1 of your warm-up, in your pulse raise, in phase 2 of your warm-up, in your stretching and mobilization, and in phase 3 when you're doing activity-specific drills. So it's part of that pre-match routine, it's part of that warm-up. What does it mean if you get it right? Well, you'll have heard sportsmen say, I was brilliant, I was in the zone, everything was right. My mental preparation was spot on. You've heard in the zone. So, what does it mean to get into the zone? How do you get into the zone? Well, this is where the 4 C's come into play. If you're in the zone, you're confident. You trust in your own abilities to get the job done. You've done it before, you know you can do it again. Be careful. You don't want to be overconfident because that can result in a lack of preparation. And you don't want to be underconfident because that will lead to low arousal. And if you've got low arousal, then your performance level is going to be low as well. We'll come on to that in a second. What else does it mean to be in the zone? Well, it means that your emotions are under control. You're neither too psyched up or you're neither under aroused. Not really up for it. If you do get over aroused, you end up here with low performance. If you're under aroused, you end up here. This is the inverted U theory. What else does it mean to be in the zone? Well, it means that you're concentrated. You know what you've got to do. You've done it before. You're confident that you can do it again. Your mind is on the task in hand. You're absolutely focused or concentrated on what you have to do. And lastly, in the zone, the last C, you're committed. Absolutely committed. You've got a sense of duty. You will see it through. The lovely thing about being committed is that it leads to motivation. It leads to adherence to the task. You're going to try hard. You're not going to give in. You are absolutely committed to doing it. Motivation is crucial, both intrinsic motivation, you're doing it for yourself, and extrinsic motivation. You might be doing it because it means you win the trophy or get a pay rise if you're a professional. Better sponsorship contracts if you're a professional. Okay, so to be in that zone, it means you're confident, controlled, concentrated and committed. They're 4 easy C's which will pick up the easy marks. How then? How do we get into this zone? That's the crucial part. And these are the 2 things that we need to know more than any for our examination board. There are other ways that you get into the zone, but these are the 2 that you need to know mostly. It's about mental imagery and it is about mental rehearsal. Some people just call this imagery, but it is mental imagery. And they're both visualization techniques. So let's take the first one. Let's take imagery first. Well, imagery is just mentally reminding yourself that you have done it before and this is how you did it. So if I'm a rugby player, you imagine the perfect stance before the kick. You imagine the perfect run-up. You imagine the perfect body position. You imagine the perfect backswing, contact, follow through. You imagine the perfect position for your arms for balance. You imagine it all perfectly. If you're on a high diving board, you imagine the stance before the dive, perfectly still and controlled. You imagine the thrust, the takeoff. You imagine in your mind 3 back somersaults. You imagine opening out. You imagine the perfect entry into the water. If it's a golf swing, you imagine the perfect alignment, the perfect stance. You imagine the perfect take back, forward swing, contact point, follow through, perfect, everything. Imagine it beautifully, as good as you've ever done it before, as good as you did it the last time you succeed. That's mental imagery. It will help you to get into the zone. What's mental rehearsal? Slightly different. Mental rehearsal is where you picture the perfect performance. So my diver is the perfect performance. He's imagined all the things. He does all the things. He enters the water, tens. The perfect dive. The golf swing. He imagines the perfect ball flight, the perfect landing, the perfect shot. So you picture the perfect performance. It's how you get into the zone, these 2 visualization techniques. So, today's lesson was pretty short. It's about mental rehearsal. It's about getting into the zone. What does it mean to get into the zone? It means you're confident, controlled, committed, concentrated. How do you get there? It's the visualization techniques, it's the mental imagery and the mental rehearsal. Why, ultimately, do we do these visual techniques? Why do we want to get into the zone? Well, because if you are committed, if you are emotionally under control, you're at this perfect arousal level here, the optimal arousal level. You're neither under-aroused or over-aroused, you're here. If you are concentrated, focused on the task in hand and committed to it, motivated to it, then your performance is going to improve. That's why we want it. Being confident, in control, concentrated and committed leads to better performance. Okay? My GCSE class, please copy this up into your blue books once you've looked at this video a couple of times. Read it through, please, test yourself, go away for half an hour, come back, read it again, test yourself and then get somebody else to test you. Mum and Dad can do that. Alright, take care, thank you, bye-bye.